everybody, is RetroGamingNow, and we are back with Riven, the sequel to Myst. So in the last episode, we took a tram, which took us across cables, across the islands, and now we're at a new island. So we're going to get out and explore and see what we've got here. So there it is. Let's head on out, see what we've got. So, looks like there's something on the wall over here. Let's see what that is. So it looks like it's some sort of, well, it's definitely a spherical thing that can rotate. It's kind of like the shape of an eye, and if I click on it, it spins and there's a noise. And also sort of a sound. It's kind of hard to tell what that is. And then the third thing is there's this symbol on the back. It kind of looks like a K in a box. That's interesting. That's something that we should definitely write down, though, that there's that K. That K in the box, and then this sort of, I don't know, kind of like a chirping sound, I guess. Anyway, so it's probably a clue for something. It's hard to tell what right now. Let us head on in. We've got a cave in here. And some steps. You can hear like some sort of bugs or something going on in there. Ooh, and what have we here? We have a tram button. Now, we're just going to hit it in case we need it later, but my bet is it goes back to the tram we were just at. Let's head back actually so we can see, because I was thinking there wasn't a button at that tram. So if we just, wait a minute, look at that. See, in the rocks what we've got here, we've got a frog. So there's that eye there. That's where his mouth is. His legs and his front legs right there. That's his body right there. So what's interesting is that eye out there is actually imposed on this sort of frog in the shape of the cave. So let's go listen to that sound again and see if maybe it could be a frog. And indeed, it's not too difficult to imagine that as a frog. So that's interesting. We want to head back to that tram. There we go. Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, you can see that there's no button here. So that's probably what that button up there does. So let's head on back. Alright, 2 ways to go, up or down. Let's go down. Let's see, there's something out there, some sort of animal. Oh. And looks like we scared them away. This sort of lagoon kind of area. You can see them swimming out there. Just sort of sitting there on the rocks, warming themselves. Alright, let's keep on going down this path. You can see we're going into a tree stump. And in here, another cave. See, this is our first sign of human life since we got here. As soon as we show up in this doorway, there's a person up in that tower who spins the thing, which makes like a warning sort of signal. It's kind of interesting because on our previous island, we didn't see any people besides the first part. So now that we're out here, we can see sort of a different way of, like, there's all these sort of wooden rocks. If we look out here, there's this lake, and there's various things in the lake, and catwalks, it looks like, up there. It's hard to tell what that thing is. There's that watchtower that we had just a minute ago. And if we look out here, there's some sort of globular things. Can't quite tell what that is. There's yeah, it's hard to see what's going on over there. Let's go down and see what we got, though. So it looks like we got another one of these eye things, so let's go over and see what this is. So it works in pretty much the same way as the other one does. If you spin it, there's this symbol on the back. And this time there's sort of a buzzing, or kind of sounds like a bug or something. Well, it looks like there's something here. Let's see what this does. And the water starts to reveal something else. And if you look at it, you can see it's another animal. It's a beetle. If this is its round top shell here, that's where its eye would be, and that's where its legs would be. Now, we have already seen some indications of beetles earlier on in the game. When we were in the gate room, remember, there are all these beetles on the walls, and so perhaps this beetle is of some sort of importance. That frog that we saw earlier is the first sign of any sort of frog that we've seen. Alright, let's keep on going down. Looks like they make all this out of driftwood. If you look over there, you can see some sort of wiring, it looks like, underneath the lake. Alright, head on into another one of these caves. You notice each of these has this sort of notch dot pattern on it. And we've got a hole which leads to nothing, but we can see it does go down and hook. It's right on these sort of wires, or these tracks. So it's kind of hard to tell what is going on. If we look at these seem like they might actually be like huts or something. And looking out there, there's more pathways. Now, what's interesting about this water is if you look at it, it kind of looks like the water has holes in it. Do you see that out there? It kind of looks like there's a hole. Maybe we'll get a better view of it later, and even here, like down there, it looks pretty dry. Like we can see there's water all around, but here you don't see any water flowing, and there's nothing that's cutting it off. So there's some sort of strange property of water going on here. Oh, it looks like there's something out there. Can't quite tell what that is. So let's head on back in and go up, because that's a dead end, and see what else we've got. More of these notches. And back out here. I think visually this is a very, very neat looking place. I sort of like how this whole lagoon looks. It's kind of cool. Okay, so let's head on up and see if we can figure out what's going on this island. There's lots of sounds of chirping and bugs and just general things. And we've got a bridge here. What is that thing there? Let's go back. Looks like a giant axe that is stuck in the rock. So as we go down these pathways, we can sort of see we've got what looks like logging. Out there it looks like it's pretty densely vegetated, at least from what I can see. There's another axe right there. And all around here, there's just tree stumps and There's a nice bird call in the distance. A bunch of things that are just trees that are chopped down. Now, we have had some indication of this earlier. If you think back to the stained glass in the gate room, there were pictures of chopping down trees to make books. So I wonder if that's what's going on. Interesting to note, if we look back out here, this is the dome island that we were on originally. We took a tram to this island here. And if you look, there's a bridge actually connecting this island over here to this island. So we were only on here. And perhaps remember that we activated that power to the drawbridge. And maybe that's that over there. We'll have to find out when we find a way to get over there. Here we've got what looks like a logging cart or something. I mean, we could flip this. It looks like that's going to send us down there, but I'll do that in a minute. I sort of want to explore what we've got here first. So there's a bunch of paths. We could go up there. We could also go here. Oh, look at this. We got a beetle. And this is definitely the same kind of beetle that we saw earlier. Oh, and if I mouse over it, it flies away. But if you heard that sound, that's the same sound that we saw in that pool down there. So it is probably a beetle. And a door allows us to go into the jungle. And once we're in here, it's a very different atmosphere. It feels sort of enclosed off. Got some interesting sort of trees here. Looks like the bark's been stripped off or something like that. Wonder what's going on there. And then the pathway just goes straight through the tree because why not? If you listen, you can hear some sort of like maybe deep rumbling. Actually, there's something out over there. Looks like it might be another one of those daggers. And some nice glowing mushrooms here. And we have 2 different ways to go, so let's go right. Oh. What have we here? It appears to be some sort of, maybe even an idol, I don't know, because it looks very intimidating, it looks very powerful, and if you listen, the music's actually matching that. One thing, let's see if I can turn around and get a better view of it, is what it looks to me is it looks to me like that thing that we saw in the temple earlier on the first island. We're just going to call it Temple Island from now on. Where it's got those 2 eyes on the sides, kind of a long vertical body, and these 2 tusk or tentacle sort of things, but they do look more like tusks here. Now, what we couldn't see on the other one is this back here, which to me makes it look like it's some sort of fish. Let me step back one more to get a better view. Yeah, if you look at it, it kind of looks like it could be swimming this way. But whatever it is, it's clearly got some sort of value. And if you remember back at the other Temple Island, there were fruits and stuff, and it seemed like they're almost doing sacrifices to the image of this thing. And here we've got yet one more example of sort of reverence, it seems like. Like there's clearly some sort of power. Like just look at how evil and ferocious this thing looks. Yeah, I'm just taking it in. It's pretty intimidating, like to turn around and come up to this. I certainly wouldn't want to go near it. Alright, well, let's go back feel like there's something moving up there. Can't quite tell what that is, but it's up on top of here. Actually, if you look, there's like another catwalk or something, like there's almost a second level. There's no one of those beetles going by. So, this is where we came from. We're gonna go this way. Now, if you look, you can see that there's like some heat. There's some... Remember I was talking about that rumbling earlier? I think that's what we're hearing is this... Looks like it's volcanic activity. Now remember, in Atris, in his journal, he talked about how the islands of Riven were unstable and he was somehow trying to improve stability of the age. And I think that this here, this volcanic activity, probably indicates that. He might have even mentioned volcanic activity, I don't know, but he was talking about tremors. So it's also kind of out of place if you look at this lush, this beautiful jungle area, to have these here. So let's head on out. And there's no one of those watchtowers. Let's go left. I think this should take us back up to the logging area. And indeed it does. Okay. So let's go back. You'll notice that the way that these pathways are built is very different than what we saw in the other ones. The other island. The other island was much more curated. It was like steps, but this looks like it's more built with what they have available. And it's clear that wood is important here. So there's some pretty neat lanterns. Oh, we got something here. It's so... looks like some hieroglyphics or a cave painting. If you look what we got here, there's some sort of man. It's throwing down people or something. And then there's some of those fishes or whatever, sort of that, it kind of looks like that thing that we saw earlier in the jungle. And above here is that symbol of 5, and so my bet is it's that god figure that we've seen earlier. What he's doing here is tough to say. It's like he's appeasing these fish or something. I'm sure it'll become more clear as we go on. Okay, so we're back to the lake. And if you look out there, you can see someone's playing. There's like a little kid or something out in the distance. Now, up top, someone's coming down. And escorting him away. I think they must have seen me. So this, as you probably have gathered by now, I haven't really said it, but this is the island where it seems like the inhabitants of Riven live. If you look at all these, they kind of look like they're huts. And all these walkways indicate that people are moving around here and doing logging or whatever else. And this lake in the middle, like I was saying earlier, it does really look like that there are holes in the lake. It's kind of a strange phenomena. Why that's happening, I can't tell. Alright, so we got another thing here. There's something out there, and I saw that earlier, and I frankly don't know what it is. And another one of these ladders going down, which we can't go down there, but if you look again, it does look like there's a hole. You can see that distinct hole right there. So let's head on up, and over here is where that kid was playing. You can see there's a bunch of these sort of stucco huts. And there we go. Let's look around. We can see there's quite the village going on here. It's pretty impressive. They got all this stuff, and it's up against the rocks. Yeah, let's go check one of these out. Got a star knocker. with 5 again. So let's see if they'll respond. Come on. I know you're in there. I saw you out there. So there was somebody in there. And she saw me and she closed that little flap. So it could be that it seems like all these villagers here are afraid of people. And I'm clearly a stranger. I'm not one of the villagers, but there's something that they're in fear of, and they're just, it feels like they're not comfortable with other people. Like, they had that warning symbol, and then I come up around here and everyone runs away. And it's just, they're living in this state of fear, which is kind of strange. Why? Okay, so if we look over here, we got, it looks like a furnace, look in there. Some nice meat cooking. There's some wood. And over here, we got another indication of one of those fish things with the tusks here and the eyes there. It's a stool or something, or a seat. And here's some sort of, perhaps, drum, and there's a kettle or something over there. And another one. Maybe for some sort of ceremony. It's hard to tell, but it's just sort of there. This is a nice view of the village, and you can see how big it is, and like how cool it is that they've built it up against the rocks. Like, if you notice, Riven so far has had pretty rocky terrain, like terrain that's not easy to move around, and that's why they've had to go through caves and build all these pathways and stuff. Here we got, I don't know what this is. It looks pretty strange. You can open the hatch though, and get in it, and nothing works, but we can see out to the village. So we can head on out here, close the top. And so it looks like when we were in there, we're looking out in this direction. Well, let's see what this lever does. Oh, so it lowered it down, and looks like it's in the water now. So if we were to go down there, we might be able to enter there and see what it looks like underwater. Now, we did already think we were already there. Real quick, another look at these holes. Like, they're pretty prominent, so if we can head back in that direction, might be able to see what happens if we get in there. Looks like they got some fish drying up here. Some nets. You can sort of see what they're eating. So let us head on back. Again, there's another upper level up here, which we didn't see any way to access. I just want to look at that village again. It's very cool. There's definitely people here. And one thing that this game is different from Myst is that Myst, you are definitely alone. But with this game, there are other people here. We've already seen several other people. And so, yeah, it's mysterious, but we're not the only ones who are walking here. Let's go back through the jungle. And again, looks like we can get a better view of this. There's some sort of spinning dome. And if we remember, we saw one of those back at Temple Island. And go right. If we look, actually, there's another one of these daggers the way I saw earlier. You get a better view of it. Actually, maybe we can go down here. Oh. Ah, look what we got. Another eye. And another one of these daggers which is providing light. So let's see what this is. So, another one of those symbols. We should write that down. And some sort of like baying sound. It's like... I don't quite know how to describe it. It's almost like it's an elephant or something. Anyway, so this is the third one of these eyes that we found, and all the other ones have had it so we can see the animal, which I'm not seeing that. So maybe from back here. No, I just don't see the animal. Huh. Well, we'll just remember that that's there and write that down, and maybe we can eventually figure out what it's for. Okay, so let's head back this way to get down to that area that we saw. It's different kind of trees here. More that yucca stuff. See if we can get over here without scaring these guys off. They sound kind of funny. Oh. So, do you hear that? That was that sound we just heard. And whatever this thing is, it looks like it's kind of like a penguin almost. But it's just sort of sitting there sunning on the rock, and so we're going to go ahead and call it a sunner. But we were able to sneak up and approach it without scaring it off. Oh, now you just heard they wandered or swam off. Can actually explore this little lagoon. I didn't see that earlier. Ooh, we got something here. Now let's listen to that again. It's a very creepy sound. It sounds... That sounds imposing. I just want to hear it one more time, and we'll also write down that symbol. Now, if you're paying attention, we've actually seen that symbol before. We saw that symbol on the crest. That crest that we saw a lot the first time. Oh wait, actually. Maybe some sort of fish kind of looking thing. Anyways, we saw that symbol on the crest a couple times. And clearly it's some sort of importance, and that god figure that we also saw also has that symbol. What does it mean, though? Like, there's no denying that we've already seen 4 very visually similar symbols. Like, they're all boxes with something in them. So we gotta figure out what those are for. They're all connected somehow, because so far each of them has shown us some sort of animal or animal call. If you look up here, this is where we were. We dropped that thing down there, and this is where we're heading, and there's that furnace. And here we are. We can open it up and climb inside. And looks like we might be able to go on those tracks down there, which we are going to do in the next episode. That's been Retro Gaming Now playing Riven. This is a awesome game, and in the next episode we're going to see if we can figure out how this thing works, where we can go with it, maybe see if we can figure out what's going on with that water. Like, that water's pretty strange so far. So, Retro Gaming Now, I will see you guys later.